This is. What's the SMS? Is it Florida?
South Haven Middle School, phase 1. They're offering much more. I know they're all pretty close.
What do you think about the what's what?
Yeah. We're going to add some values. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the things so need, like the commercial people, so need to have a subscription. I don't think so. I've actually heard some good comments about the paper. Instead of a little 12 I'll tell you, there's been a lot of weeks where I try to get a Tuesday paper together. It's fun. It gets better and better. Personally, for me,
We'll call the August 1st, 2019 regular meeting of the DeSoto County Board of Education to order, please. And we will ask Mrs. Henley if she would lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item of business is the approval of the agenda. Mr. Ostleton, are there any additions or deletions to the minutes for us? To the agenda, I'm
No, sir, unless any board members have anything they would like to add.
sorry. Okay, your recommendation then to approve the agenda?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the agenda.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Ostleton's recommendation to approve the agenda before us this evening, do we have a motion to that effect? Motion having been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second has been made. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. The agenda is approved. Superintendent's report, Mr. Ostleton.
Mr. President, I'll ask Mr. Jerry White to please come forward. He'll give us an update on all of our construction projects.
Thank you, Mr. Austin, and good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
We got basically a really good report this afternoon. We've got a hiccup or two, but basically it's pretty good stuff. So we'll run through it and show you all the projects that we've been working on this summer. We'll start out with Hernando Middle School. We got a tile project. This is in their library, and we put the same floor down in Lake Cormorant Middle School back about 3 or 4 years ago. And that was our first experience with this, and it looks really good. And this is a no wax tile. All you got to do is just mop it and go on. So we're proud to get this job done. The next one is South Haven High School, where we did the gym lobby. It's kind of dark in that hallway, and this, I think, was one of the first pictures, and I don't think they had all the wax on it, but it looks better than what it does in this picture. But that job is complete also. The next one is over at Shadow Oaks in the cafeteria. And it made a difference, and now also that's the no wax floor that we put in there also. Next one is Hope Sullivan. Hope Sullivan was a little bit larger job. It was 19 classrooms and 2 hallways involved in this project. This is some of the beginning pictures of it, and of course that's the finished hallway. And as we go through these pictures and look at this, these walls that you can see that look so good in these schools, this is done in-house. This is what our summer workers do during the summer. We lay this work out for them, we buy the paint and the supplies for them, and we have it at these schools in advance so there won't be any downtime. And some of these people, most of them are cafeteria workers, but some of them has been with us since we started this program back, I guess, 6 years ago or whatever, and they have become really good painters. We're proud of them. They're doing a good job. We're still at Hope Sullivan. Moving on to South Haven Middle School. South Haven Middle School, we did 11 classrooms, the PE building, 6 counselors' offices, and a 6th grade building. So we had a lot of work to do in this deal too. So again, the project is complete. Up next is Horn Lake Intermediate, where we did the main foyer replacement. This was one of our last minute jobs where the tile was coming up, something that needed to be done. And we pushed the envelope on this one, and they got through with it today. They just put the last coat of wax on it. This picture here does not have any wax on it. This was taken this morning, I believe it was. And they waxed it since, and so we're good to go. This is Olive Branch Intermediate. This is one that I was said all along that we wouldn't get done, that the windows wouldn't be here in time. Well, guess what? I was wrong. The windows got here, and what a difference it's made. Not only cosmetically, but this project will eventually pay for itself in energy saved. These windows were shot, and they really needed replacing. That was the beginning where we first started, and they figured out that they didn't have part of the windows, and so we stopped them. Miss Jolly told me a long time ago not to put any more plywood over these windows, and we're not going to do it. And you can see here also in this picture, we replaced some doors for them also. So we've tidied this place up. This is the 3rd summer that we've spent over there, and if you'd seen the school 3 years ago and see it now, you wouldn't think it was the same school. Center Hill Elementary is our lighting project that we're so proud to get done. And of course, this is something we'll be following with John Hodges on the energy report, and just seeing how much money that we can save with LED lighting. You can see how bright that the hallway is there with the LED lighting, and also again brag on our summer paint workers, and thank y'all for supporting that program. We put a lot of paint on the walls in the last 5 or 6 years.
Anytime you have children, you have to paint.
Yes, ma'am. You're exactly right. This is Hernando High School HVAC retrofit phase 2, which will finish us up over there. On this Hernando High School retrofit, we started out a few years ago. We had 6 schools that were running off of boiler systems. If these boilers went down in the wintertime, which that's when they're gonna go down, we would have to close the school down. These things had gotten in bad shape, and it was getting where we couldn't get anybody to work on them. They was in such bad shape. Thank y'all for approving the money to let us do these jobs. This lines it up on the retrofits, for those schools, for those 6 schools. The 6 schools that were involved in it were Olive Branch Middle School, Oak Grove Elementary, Hope Sullivan Elementary, Horn Lake Middle School, South Haven Elementary School, and Hernando High School, and that wound us up with this last deal over here at Hernando. At Lewisburg High School, we just threw this one in at the last minute. Hadn't been showing you this one, but this is where we redid their tennis courts for them. You can see they were in pretty tough shape, and we got a couple of shots while they were in progress, and this is what it looks like now. So they really did a good job. If you see that at the top part of it where it looks like the paint's messed up on the deal, that's not the case. That is actually dead grass where they had weed eated around it, and that's what dead grass at 350 feet from a drone looks like. So that's what that is. Oak Grove Elementary 2-classroom addition. They're waxing over there today. So we're getting about ready to take possession of that building. This is a before shot when we were just prepping the site. This is the building going up. This is almost finished product. You see they're still putting the awning in front of it and connecting it with the other awning there. This is a picture from the inside of it where you can see that that everything is just almost complete. The boards have been hung, the tiles down, the lights are on, so we're good to go there. The next one is Hernando Elementary School. This is one that we've been worried about all along, and we've been talking about it at each one of these reports. And what we feared is happening. This school is not going to be ready to start when we ring the bell, which is disappointing to all of us. This is the beginning site here. This is in progress. This is the completion of the building itself on the outside. This is what it looks like today on the inside. They still like a ton of work there. I was out there yesterday and had meetings with them. The best that I can figure from looking at it and going over it, we may can take possession of it around August the 15th, which would put us in it that Monday, I think would be the 19th or whatever. Is be the earliest it looks to me like that we can possibly get into that building.
Mr. White, Ms. Triplett's got contingency plans, is that correct?
That is correct.
Everybody's gonna be in regular classrooms the first day, but just move into those later on, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Olson. Yeah, she's had this plan all along since we got word earlier about it. Mr. Chase has been working with her also on it, and we've had Plan B, I guess, as we call it. So we've run the white flag up and said we're gonna have to go to Plan B on this one.
Everybody's gonna be in regular classrooms. I think they're just waiting to relocate from their old classroom to that one.
That is correct. That is correct, and we should have it ready. We're gonna actually bring the furniture in here Monday. They're gonna have 2 classrooms cleaned up for us over there supposedly Monday. And we're gonna go ahead and put the furniture together and get it ready, so the minute that they walk out of there, we can put the furniture where it goes and let them start having class in there.
Great, thank you.
Lewisburg Primary, the 2-classroom addition. This was the beginning of the site. Progress. Completion. We've already put the furniture in, ready for the teacher to set our classroom. The last school is Lewisburg Elementary with the 4-classroom addition. This is the site that we picked. Progress. The completion. And this teacher is on the ball here when I show you the inside picture. Now, this is what we hope in all of our end results is going to be when we start on these projects. She's done a wonderful job here, and she's ready to have school. The only thing we see wrong with that room, and John Hodges being the energy guy pointed it out right off the bat, we're going to have to ask her to move that lamp that's over on the right side because the HVAC control thermostat is right to the right of it there. So that's the only thing that she did wrong in that room. She's got it looking really good. We'd like to thank y'all for, supporting all of us doing this, and I'd like to thank John Hodges for putting these presentations together for us, running the drone and taking the shots for us. So thank y'all very much, and as you can see on today's agenda, we're just crazy enough to ask you guys to approve some stuff so we can start this all over again. So thank y'all very much, and I'll try to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you.
Switching over from the boilers to the HVAC, do we know, is that gonna be energy efficient? Are we gonna see some?
We didn't do it to be energy efficient. Boilers are really energy efficient
Okay.
to start with. We did this for, so we have school. But we have seen at Fernandez, at Morton Lake Middle School, if you remember our last energy report, the energy has dropped in that school. And it's dropped, $4,000 a month, I think it was, John. So, we think that it's actually gonna save a little bit of money, above what the board.
Mr. White,
Yes, sir.
only one individual ever walked on water, but you're running a very close behind. You're coming in very, very close behind me.
Well, I appreciate that, but I have some really good help. It's a team
We
effort.
have,
and,
but
so-
we are proud, this board's proud of all of our physicals, so
Yeah.
y'all do a
We thank you.
tremendous job.
Thank y'all very much for supporting us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
We appreciate you, excellent work as always. You and your team. Where's the superintendent? I will say real quick, teachers come back tomorrow, so we've got 3 days of staff development, which will begin tomorrow morning. And then the buses roll on Wednesday. We got students coming back, buses on Wednesday, this afternoon.
All right,
That concludes my superintendent's.
all right, thank you, sir. Attorney's report.
Yes, sir. The only thing that I need to discuss with the board pertains to a property contract issue that we'll discuss in executive session.
Okay, executive session. All right, so, thank you, Mr. Key. Next item of business then is the approval of the minutes, and it looks like it's A through, oh, okay. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, July the 18th.
You need to
Recommendation, no recommendation from superintendent's needed on that, so do we have a motion then to approve the minutes from the July the 18th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion is carried, the minutes are approved. Okay, consent agenda are items A through U, and then, new business, A through N. Do we have a recommendation to approval for that, Mr. Alston?
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the consent agenda.
All right. Based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation to approve the consent agenda, do we have a motion to that effect?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays, the motion is carried. We have approval for that. Okay. New business. Item A is the tax levy order. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. In your packet is the tax levy order for the upcoming fiscal year. The amounts listed in the order represent the district's funding request for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. And those numbers also mirror the budget that the board adopted earlier in this summer. So it's my recommendation to approve the tax levy order as it's presented in your packet.
All right, sir. Questions or comments of Mr. Williams?
I've got a question on, for clarification, there will be no tax increase for taxpayers, correct?
That is correct, no tax increase.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds great, Mr. Williams. Your recommendation, Mr. Usleton.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the tax levy order for 2019-2020.
Okay, thank you. Based upon Mr. Williams' presentation, Mr. Usleton's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Tax levy order is approved. Item B, Architectural Services, Allen and Hochul Classroom Additions. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to hire Allen and Holsham as the architect for the construction of 8 additional classrooms at DeSoto Central Middle School. If approved, we'll start the initial stages of designing the additions and hope we can break ground in December and have that building ready by August of 2020.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Williams? If not, your recommendation, Mr. Usleton.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the use of architectural services of Allen Oshel for classroom additions at DeSoto Central Middle School.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Williams' presentation, Mr. Usleton's recommendation, do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not opposed, the motion is carried. The next item of business is the permission to advertise for bids for the classroom additions. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to take bids for the classroom additions at DeSoto Central Middle School.
Okay. Any questions, comments, Mr. Williams? Not, Mr. Usleton, do we have your recommendation?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the advertising of bids at the classroom additions at DeSoto Central Middle School.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendations for approval, do we have a motion to that effect?
Make that motion.
Motion having been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. The motion is carried. Item D is Architectural Services, Allen and Hochul Classroom Additions, Fernanda Hills Elementary School. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to hire Allen and Holsham as architect for the construction of 4 additional classrooms at Fernando Hills Elementary School.
Okay. Any questions or comments of Mr. Williams? If not, Mr. Usleton, do we have a recommendation to proceed?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve use of architectural services of Allen Oshel for classroom additions at Hernando Hills Elementary School.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item D, permission to advertise for bids classroom additions, Fernando Hills Elementary School. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to take bids for the classroom additions at Fernando Hills Elementary School.
Okay. Based on Mr. Williams' presentation, your recommendation, Mr. Usleton.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the advertising for bids for classroom additions at Fernando Hills Elementary School.
Based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation, do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Motion having been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item F is Architectural Services, Allen and Hochul Classroom Additions.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to hire Allen and Holsham as architect for the construction of 8 additional classrooms at Fernando Middle School.
Okay, any questions, comments of Mr. Williams? Not, Mr. Usleton, do we have your recommendation?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve Alan Moschel for architectural services for classroom additions at Fernando Middle School.
All right, based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation, do we have a motion to that effect?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second having been made, all those in favor, aye. Nay? Ayes have it. Motion is approved. Item G is permission to advertise for bids for the classroom additions. Fernando Middle School, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, we're requesting permission to take bids, for the classroom additions at Fernando Middle School.
Okay, any questions or comments of Mr. Williams? None. Mr. Usleton, your recommendation.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the advertising for bids for classroom additions at Fernando Middle School.
Okay, based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation to proceed, do we have a motion to that effect?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second having been made, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay? The ayes have it. Permission is approved. Item H is request to reject the bids for copy paper for the DeSoto County School System. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, we opened bids on the 8th of July for the the first copy paper for the district. The price of the paper has gone up significantly. I think we paid about $25.74 a case last year. It's up to about $31.40 a case. And with that being said, some of the schools don't have or would need additional monies to pay for the amount of paper they need. So what we want to do is to reject these bids and then rebid it. So we're requesting that our bids be rejected due to the increase in cost.
All right, sir. Any questions, comments, Mr. Williams, to reject the present bids? Hearing none, your recommendation, Mr. Usleton.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the rejection of bids for copy paper for the DeSoto County School.
Okay, based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation to reject the bids for the copy paper, do we have that in the form of a motion?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Number I is permission to advertise for the rebid of copy paper for the DeSoto County School System. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, we're requesting permission from the board to rebid for the copy paper.
Okay. Do we have a motion, a recommendation, Mr. Austin, to rebid?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the advertising for the rebid for the copy paper for the DeSoto County School.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation to rebid copy paper for the DeSoto County School System, do we have a motion to that effect?
Make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Motion is approved. Item J is certification of bank reconciliations, June 2019. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir, all accounts have been reconciled with no exception.
Sounds great.
Love to say it.
Pardon?
Love to say it.
Oh, I know. Sounded awfully good, too.
Great report.
Great report. Mr. Usleton, your recommendation, please, sir.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the certification of bank reconciliations for June 2019.
Okay, based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation for the certification of bank reconciliations, June 2019, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a motion having been made? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Number K is new board policy JDDA-P, bullying procedure.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Weeks.
Yes, sir, we presented this policy for the first read at our last meeting. It has been posted on our website, we haven't received any comments from the public, and and we are requesting approval for this policy.
All right, any questions, for Ms. Weeks on anything about this policy? Not, Mr. Usleton, your recommendation?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the new board policy JDDAP for bullying procedures.
Okay, based upon Mr. Usleton's recommendation to approve the new board policy JDDA-P, do we have a motion to that effect?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it. Motion is approved. Number L, revised board policy BC, board meetings. Ms. Weeks, we gonna still have board meetings, aren't we?
We're still gonna have board meetings. This policy is, we are requesting a revision to this policy to address the time allotted for individuals to speak, groups to speak, and the deadline for them to apply to speak.
All right. Any questions, comments, any board member to Ms. Weeks on this new policy? Not your recommendation, Mr. Alston.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the revised board policy BC for board meetings.
Okay, based upon Mr. Alston's recommendation to approve the revised board policy BC, do we have a motion to that effect?
Make that motion.
Motion having been made, do we have a second? Motion and second has been made. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it. Motion is approved. Next item is personnel, Mr. Alexander.
Sir, personnel packet this evening, this afternoon is pages 1 through 9 are recommendations. Pages 10 through 13 are personnel changes. Page 14 is a memo for myself on a salary correction for Ms. Weddle, for the assistant sped supervisor. The salary was listed corrected on the July 2nd board approval. Yes, correction is there. Page 15 is a memo for myself on the reclassification of the juvenile detention education teacher. Go from 230 days to 187 days. This position we paid for the 187-day license pay scale. State law requirement has changed from 230 to 187. We're not changing the current employees' contracts. However, this is an opening that we've had for a moment, so we'll go ahead and make that adjustment. Page 16 is a memo for myself on new units to be board approved for the 2019-2020 school year. Page 17 is a memo for myself on the supplemental amount for the JDC coordinator, Ms. Moore. She'll provide teacher services between 7:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. with all administrative duties conducted during the additional time she chooses. The supplement will be paid at the cost pool, which is part of the federal budget. Page 18 is a memo from Ms. Weeks, Assistant Superintendent, on the request to hire Mr. Teal as an adjunct professor for algebra instructor, dual credit. He'll teach 2 sections of college algebra at Centerville High School. He'll be paid an amount of $2,500 per section. We receive this payment in 5 installments to be paid monthly, August through December. Page 19 is a request for additional pay for Ms. Lori Davis, Assistant State Director, on the Ms. Grammer, who will now be next year at DeSoto Central Middle. She'll be replacing Ms. Melton. She'll work 30 hours and be paid at a rate of $27 per hour beginning August 2nd and ending June 30th, 2020. Page 20 is a request for additional pay for Lori Davis on a Ms. Bagley, who will now be the med chair at Lewisburg Elementary School. She'll also work the same amount of time with the hourly pay in the same dates as previous. Page 21 through page 22 is now your revised list of med chairs, names and location for the 2019-2020 school year. Page 23 is an additional pay request from me for Ms. Valerie. She will serve as a dual credit college algebra online instructor for Lake Common High, Olive Branch High, and Horn Lake High School. She'll teach 3 sections at a rate of $2,500 per section. She'll be paid also in 5 monthly installments, August through December. Page 24 is a memo from myself on the superintendent's evaluation instrument that will be used to evaluate the superintendent of education for the 2019-2020 school year. This evaluation is taken directly from the Mississippi School Board Association. The indicators are listed this year. And then page 25 through page 32 is the Mississippi School Board Association Superintendent Evaluations Instrument taken directly from the Mississippi School Board Association.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Alexander of anything in personnel as presented? If not, your recommendation, Mr. Ossington.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve personnel as presented.
Okay, based upon Mr. Ossington's recommendation to approve personnel as presented, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion having been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second having been made. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it. Motion is approved. Item N, residency appeal. Mr. Carver,
Yes, sir. I have a matter to be discussed in executive session.
one matter in executive session. Right, since this is the first meeting of the month, anyone here to address the board, public comments? Yes, sir.
Mr. Nichols, I'd like to address the board if I may.
All right, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
My name is Greg Russell. I'm with Neil Schaefer out of South Haven. I'm also with the Stormwater Infrastructure Board, Infrastructure Committee. And each year we go into the kindergarten and first grade schools and read to them during Stormwater Awareness Week. This year it's September the 23rd through the 28th. And we ask for volunteers to go into these classes and read to these children. We also hand out these books like you have there, Stormwater Dan. We hand those out. There's coloring pages in there and a couple of puzzles. This is my first year to do this, so I'm kind of feeling my way through it also. But we're asking for volunteers to go in and read it. I want you to know I've taken down all your names and we'll be contacting you.
Sounds good, Greg.
We've gotten a real good response out of this. Storm Drain Dan is a fictional character that goes into the neighborhood and explains. Well, I'm not gonna spoil the reading for you, but it ends really well. So with that, would like to, I don't know if it's normal, I hadn't found any notes where anybody's come before you before, but we'd like to ask permission to go to these classrooms in the schools throughout the county and read to these children, or have the volunteers read to the children.
Okay, any questions, comments of Mr. Russell? Or Mr. Superintendent? Hesitancy with doing that?
The board's in favor of it, I'm in favor of it also. I don't think it takes a recommendation, it doesn't take a recommendation. Yeah, we allow the principals to make a decision on that, they can contact them directly.
I've contacted Ms. Hall, is that right? Jerry Hall? Jerry Hill. And she's gonna send me a list of the principals so that we can contact them and verify that it's okay, and give them the material and make sure they understand what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, when these type of events happen, we leave it up to the principal's discretion, but at the same time,
the principals will know it's not something we're opposed to. We just have to make work in.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate y'all's time.
Smile.
Pardon me?
Real well when you're smiling.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Since this is the first meeting of the month, anyone here to address, sorry? Yes, ma'am. Could you come up? Oh, it's student matter. What is your name?
Andrea Mills, and my
Ms. Mills? student matters are never discussed in, public forum out here.
Okay,
That would
I'm
be an
sure that,
executive.
Ms. Beth, has all of those copies.
Yes,
They'll call for you when we go to executive.
Okay.
yes, ma'am. We need a motion then for consideration of closed session to determine whether the board should enter executive session for the following matters, legal or real estate contract matter, residency appeal, and a student matter. And that requires, motion only. All right. Motion has been made to, go into executive session for those matters mentioned. Do we have a vote?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We will retire for executive session, and Mr. Chase will come back and inform you as to whether the board will vote to stay in executive session for those matters announced. And to inform you, the next recess meeting of the board will be Thursday, August 15th, 3 o'clock in this room.